Hey everyone, welcome back to the Shelf Series. Today we are diving into the Ahsoka TV show, starting with Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars. This is a figure with a custom cape and a custom head, as well as some custom paint on the body. The head is designed by FetClone, I believe, and painted by 14.6 on Instagram. I'll have everyone linked below since the usernames can be a bit confusing, but I love the way that this Clone Wars Anakin looks, of course, from the flashbacks. And of course, we have to have our 332nd Clone Trooper on display next to Anakin on the shelf. This is the re-release that came in the 2-pack on the 3.0 body, and it's just so much fun to pose around. I love the matte finish on it. Overall a very great figure right out of the package. And now back to customs. We've got Sabine in her training gear. This is Ahsoka from the waist down, Mara Jade torso, and a Bo-Katan head that is under a 3D printed helmet with a custom 3D printed sword as well. The helmet was sculpted by Jay Syrian for my Patreon, and there's also a version that you can download with the hair included, so you don't need a Bo-Katan head, and all of those are linked below. Another simple clone trooper right out of the package here with Captain Rex in his Phase 1 look. This is the one that was released in the wave with the Anakin from the Ahsoka series. Great looking figure on a lot of people's wish lists for a while, and the Ahsoka show finally made this release possible. Next we have the red protocol droid. This I bought from Charlotte Waring on Instagram, and she did this amazing repaint of a C-3PO figure, and I just had to have it, so I DM'd her and was able to pick this up. I love protocol droids and astromech figures, and so I just want all of them in all the colors, and Hasbro doesn't release enough repaints on this body, so until then I will go to the fans. I love all different types of troopers, rebels, imperials, and when I saw these guys on screen I really wanted one on my shelf. So this is a custom from Frederick's Figures. I think he just made one for himself, and I just asked him if I could buy it off of him. I don't remember if he made this one specifically for me or if I just stole this from his collection, but the detail work is amazing. I forget which head this is, but I love the little sticker on the shoulder with the New Republic logo. Overall, this just looks so good, and that pop of blue on the shelf makes such a difference, because I think the Ahsoka show has a really cool color palette, as you can see kind of blurry in the background here, and I just loved bringing in this blue. Sabine has a really cool color palette as well, with the purples and the oranges really matching her look from Rebels and bringing that into live action. This helmet here is actually from the Toxic Collector, and then I did a kit bash of some body parts here. It looks like Dr. Aphra with Jyn Erso's vest. I don't remember where the arms are from. The hair is from the Marvel Legends Katie figure, that's the Aquafina character, and I did some custom sculpting on the bangs there to give her that little swoop. But I just thought this was such a cool look for Sabine, and I wanted to have it on the shelf, and it came out a lot better than I thought. You never know when you make customs if all the proportions are going to line up, but this time I was really happy with the result. And since I have so many extreme close-ups in this video, try to imagine how these look on a shelf. So, you know, when they're this zoomed in, you're going to notice a lot of like paint chips and little details that may be missing or painted poorly, but when they're on the shelf zoomed out like you see here, they all look so much better, and that's kind of the goal. So please keep that in mind. Although when you have a Fett clone head on your shelf, you can zoom in as much as you want. There is no one that paints faces like he does. The amount of detail and just like different color tones that you get on the face is just insane. This is the new Figuarts body with his Revenge of the Sith head here, which of course works for those flashback scenes. And I have an evil Sith head for my Revenge of the Sith shelf, so this nice guy Anakin gets to go on my Ahsoka shelf. Speaking of Ahsoka, we have our first Ahsoka of the video here. This is the Mafex body with the Black Series head, which was repainted for me by Frederick's Figures. This goes to show how unbelievable the sculpt is on the original Black Series figure. The paint left a little bit to be desired, but when you get a painter like Frederick on this, you just get a 10 out of 10 figure. And I opted to use the Mafex body because I like the alternate hands here, just to give a slightly different version of Ahsoka on the shelf instead of holding her sabers. And speaking of alternate hands, I used a Mrs. Marvel figure from Marvel Legends as the hands for Ezra here to give that look when he's using the Force before he gets his saber back. And of course, this little notey guy down here was done for me by the Toxic Collector. I was so excited to finally get this look of Ezra in the Black Series, but something just felt a little bit missing, so I like the way that these hands look on the shelf. Next we have the live action Hera Syndulla. This head was repainted for me by Frederick's Figures, but it is just the Black Series body with a matte spray on it, I believe. I don't know if he did any pastel work on the body. I think he did a little bit on the chest there, but this is looking so nice, and I love having just this elevated version of Hera on my shelf. The original release of Marek in the Black Series was just so disappointing. It just had those cheap soft goods and was a light gray plastic, so I went ahead and did a dark wash with some metallic and rust effects on here, and that cape is from the original Mandalorian figure. I know some of you prefer the soft goods to the sculpted plastic. I prefer the cleaner look, but I think everyone agrees that the original figure needed a repaint. repaint. And speaking of repaints, we have Hu Yang here with his more silver/chrome look like we saw in the series. The one that released was much closer to his Clone Wars appearance, which is great if you want to put him on your Clone Wars shelf, but I really wanted him to have more of his silver appearance. It's definitely not perfect, but I think it looks better. Next, we have a figure just straight out of the package. Of course, this is Ahsoka the White, but also known as Ahsoka Peridia. I think the face printing on this is so clean. It is one of the best that the Black Series has done. I love the longer head tails, and I just think that overall this figure is really nice looking. Next we have Sabine Wren with a custom head, also by FetClone. I just wanted to get a better looking face on her because the hair on the original was designed to fit under the helmet. I don't know why we couldn't just have a swappable head, but it just did not really match how she looks in the show, and so the hair was the big selling point for me on getting this custom. And then of course we have Chopper with a bit of weathering on him. And next you will see a group effort in trying to fix one of the worst releases of last year, which was the Black Series Shinhati. I did a repaint on the body here and did a thigh swap with Fennec Shand. The blade is from Cubic 3D Prints on Etsy, and the head is from Nuno on Instagram. She comes with an alternate hair plate, so you can switch out the hair whether you want it blowing in the wind or down, but I just thought this was such an epic pose here. It's frustrating to have to do so much work to make a figure presentable on the shelf, but I think I like where this landed. And then we have Balin, which has the infamous Reva thigh swap, which I came up with a couple years ago and have seen like hundreds of people recreate. It seems it is wild how necessary of a swap that was, and just how many people really cared about this character. I think it just goes to show how upsetting it is that this was kind of fumbled the first time. The likeness on the Black Series Morgan Elsbeth was really unbelievable, but I wanted to have her like witchy look from the end of the show, so I got this Sword of Talzin on Etsy already painted and printed with that green effect on it, and I had Frederick repaint the face for me. I designed a few accessories that can be resin printed that fit her nicely since she didn't really come with anything. So I used to have her displayed with this plinth and the map ball, but I decided to go with the witchy look on the shelf. These zombie troopers were done by Frederick's figures here, the two stormtroopers, and Frederick actually worked on the costumes for the show. Like, he actually laid the ribbons on the actual costumes that you see in the series, and so it's so cool to have these versions that he completed. And I was able to get these way sooner than the actual Black Series ones released, so that was exciting to have, and I just love the weathering that he did on them. Then we also have the Zombie Trooper, which is just straight out of the box, but I did switch out the hands with the Professor X/Magneto X-Men set. They have some armor plates on the back of the hands already, and it gives it that creepy zombie look. Next, we have two great figures. Thrawn here is right out of the package. I did a matte spray on him though, but we love that open hand that he came with, just adding a little bit more expressiveness. And then Enoch here has a custom resin printed helmet that Frederick painted for me with some gold leaf, using the same technique that he did on the zombie troopers, so they all are cohesive. And before I forget, we do have this Loth Cat that the Toxic Collector painted up for me. These are also on my Patreon. The sculpt was done by the Glowing Ghost. I absolutely loved the HK droids when I first saw them in The Mandalorian, and was happy to get a figure of them. These were of course re-released for the Ahsoka series, but it was like a fire truck red. It was just so bad. It didn't have any paint on the visor, so I had to take matters into my own hands here. I made an entire video about the process of weathering and painting up these figures, so if you want to see that, that is on my channel. But now that these are completed, the cape here is from Gore the God Butcher, the Marvel Legends figure that I also repainted in that video, and then these staffs are 3D printed. I am just so happy to have these looking correct on my shelf. So here is the entire display. I feel like we are pretty good on Ahsoka figures. I know we're probably getting Ezra in his disguise, which is just a couple part swaps. It would be cool to see a newly sculpted young Ahsoka with the Ariana Greenblatt likeness, but the proportions on the body are definitely a little bit more real looking than they are on the figure that we have currently. So it'd be cool to see that one redone. Let me know in the comments below if you have any wants from this series. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel. I have more of these shelf series style videos coming. Thank you all for watching as always, and I will see you all next time.